All right. We have the rich text editor for SharePoint Online. OneDrive iOS gets a update and brings iOS file support. We have 130 different file viewers that we can see in OneDrive coming through. Microsoft To Do ticks the box and says everyone gets it on by default. And new SharePoint Online pages can be created from a duplicate. This is Office 365 Message Center, the week that was November 27th. Yeah, that was enthusiastic. That's right. Dancing, dancing. I mean, you saw that, but they didn't see that because I'd cut through. We are doing regarding 365, and welcome to the Office 365 Message Center, the week that was, where we review the week's messages in the past week in the admin portal. And we discuss some of the things that were announced, some of the things that weren't announced, and a few things that have been discussed in the community. If you want to catch up with our show every week, make sure that you click the subscribe button and click that button also, that little bell there that gets you a little alert every time we plan something and when we're about to go live. So I'm Daryl as a service, and as always I'm joined with my friend Daniel Glenn. Daniel.
Hello. Hello everyone. I am Daniel Glenn, coming to you live from Middle Tennessee in the United States, home of Justin Timberlake. Yes, JT lives just south of me, and
Really?
we hang out every weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Oh well, that's cool. That's cool. How about that? I mean, you've got all the good singers. We talked about music last time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, we do have a lot to get through. That's wow. You know, it's almost redundant to say that because we often have a full message. And last week we had 4 things to go through. This week we seem
double.
to have 8 or so, and we're not going to go into depth. I was thinking about a slight format change that we just glass over some of these things next time. No, we won't do it now. We won't do it now. Yeah, slight format change.
Throwing a wrench into the whole system.
Yeah. So yeah, you're going to pick on one. I'm going to pick on one. We're going to go in depth and discuss things. But I did want to go over something that you and I were talking about before. We went live. You had a need to get into the Message Center and try and find something in the past because a customer was asking about it. What was the story there?
Yeah, so I'm deploying an intranet, creating an intranet and doing a migration for a pretty large international company. And the question, though, was now that we're getting into SharePoint Online and Office 365, they want metrics. And so we're covering the SharePoint side of it, but they wanted to know more about people being collaborative. And one of those collaborations is Microsoft Teams. And they wanted an idea of what are the popular teams and what are not the popular teams and who's using it. So I had seen the recent update by Ann Michaels. She sent out a tweet and it's a blog post she had written. But I knew there was an announcement, and I went in the message center and I went to this page and said, okay, I'm going to find this message.
Okay.
There's no search box.
There's no search box. Let's bring that up. So I'll share that. We're looking at the message center now.
Yep.
It would have been a dismissed message, perhaps. I mean, you dismissed it, so it's not there anymore. Do you do that? Is that your practice?
I keep them read or unread until we do the show, and then they fall off. So we have those views to say unread messages, and I don't do dismissed. So, but yeah, I was like, I need to find that message. Where would that message be if it were in here?
Yeah, well,
how would I search?
Indeed. Now, what I will try and do, if I can get my phone to work, is we did. There we go.
Make sure you show your password when you're screen sharing.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, that's for sure.
Everyone wrote this
screen mirroring. We'll come back to that, I guess. Basically, I could find there was a search box in the app for the mobile Office 365 admin app. And it's a pity that I can't get screen mirroring going right now. It's supposed to find my machine, but for some reason it's not doing this. Anyway, take my word for it, because I had the same challenge. I was looking for a OneDrive sharing notification or sharing message, because
Right.
The message was about. It was apparently announced around sort of September-ish, where people can share a file with a specific person, send it to an email address, and they don't have to have a Microsoft account or have an Office 365 account or even be invited into your tenant. They have a different experience. So I went hunting for that.
Do you want to do you want
Go
me to
through
show
that?
mine? Because I can show mine. I'm showing mine right now
Oh yeah,
on my screen. Or
yeah. Let me just
okay,
flick that over to you, guest
okay.
only, and you go ahead and share.
Am I not already?
That's coming through right now.
Is it? Can you see it?
Yes, there it is.
So this is the admin app, and here's our messages. But you'll notice at the top, there's a nice search button. So you can do OneDrive. Uh-oh, you got to spell it right. Search still relies on, yep. So here's OneDrive. Messages, although this seems to be a whole lot less than you had.
Well, I remember I dismissed mine. I dismissed mine, so I've got them in a slightly different filter. But the point is, there's a search box in the
Yep.
app, but there
Yep.
not on the admin page in the browser, which is a pity.
That is correct. That is the point we're trying to make. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Let me return back to my desktop.
Take it back. Get that away from me.
There's
I
my
want that
hold
power.
music. Boom, boom. Oh, come on. There we go. This is the interesting thing about using Teams as a way of bringing you to this little experience here.
Yeah.
Is, you still
Sorry
get all
for
your little.
I threw my wrench in there about, hey, won't you share my screen?
Yeah,
All right.
no, that's cool. We've got that because everyone knows us for our very polished productions. But yeah, so how about it, guys? Guys and girls, let's have an Office 365 Admin Center search box in the web browser so we can go back and find old messages. That'd be
Agreed.
cool, rather than relying on Control F and finding something. Cool.
Agreed.
So yeah, as we work our way through, we have we've got a rich text editor. Do we need to say much about that? That's a web part on the SharePoint page. We can change.
It's
the
great.
font.
You get rich text editing
Yep.
on a SharePoint page.
Yep. What'd you say that in the olden days, not so long ago, content web part editor or something?
Content editor web part.
Yeah, that's the one. So you could do that.
Yeah. So this is terribly exciting.
It's modern. It's very modern.
Oh yeah, very modern. Next.
Yep. Right. So this one, I'll take this. A recovery of deleted 365 groups in the Exchange Admin Center. Right, so for quite some time, someone would delete a group, and that's it. Sorry, everything related to that group. Files, services, gone. Then earlier this year, we did get the ability to restore. So there was a soft delete period. However, you had to know your PowerShell, and you had to look up PowerShell group IDs and all sorts of things, and call it properly, and you managed to rescue it. So all good.
Yep.
You probably have someone on your team that
They could do that.
that has PowerShell, or maybe not. Maybe you belong to one of those organizations which knows enough to do the basics, and may or may not want to do this themselves. So this announcement is now that it's going to be available in the Admin Center as a UI function that you can do. You can go in, restore a soft deleted group. Yay, good.
Yay.
All right, moving up. Large address aware support for 32-bit version. Outlook may cause issues in some add-ins.
Yeah, this is a they should have a warning. If you're a business user, find some techie and let him translate this for you. What in the world does this mean? And I read it and I know what we're talking about here about the address space, but
Yeah.
it's this is highly technical here. And if you're doing have com add-in, you're not entry level here, but it may be some add-in that you've purchased from a third party, and you're gonna just double check to make sure it keeps working. So
So it's not about the length of a URL.
Right.
Large address.
Which, yeah, I mean, large address aware, so we can do more than 250. Nope, that's not what this is about.
Yeah, and that is a capability. They have extended the length of the URL, but this is not it. This is about other stuff. But all good. You do need to check these things over. Kind of a given, really, when some of these things are upgraded too.
Yeah.
OneDrive for Business for iOS. So
Yes.
this is not a very descriptive title, but when we dig into it,
Feature.
yeah, it has got an upgrade, and really that's just that they didn't want to try and compact these three things that they wanted to talk about into one title, because they might as well say it's a feature update. More stuff is coming. Drag
I don't
and drop
understand
support.
that. Drag and drop? I don't understand what that means.
Right, so I do.
Drag files from other apps?
Yep. And again, if I got prepared and did this a bit earlier,
Can I
but
do that on my phone?
no, it's an iPad Pro feature. Maybe
See, it doesn't say
iPad
that.
regular, but in the new iOS 11, you're able to drag and drop things to different apps. So, and I sometimes use that feature for dragging and dropping a file somewhere, or getting an application that I'm currently working on to display on two places on the page. So, it says iOS. I would expect that would include the phone too.
But you can't have... That was what confused me, because you can't have two apps open at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can the iPad Pro. So that you need those open so you can drag from one to the other.
Yep.
Unless you can drag and then somehow make it to the edge and it pop up your other,
Right.
that would be cool, I guess.
So that
but it doesn't do
announcement
that.
needs to have a little bit more detail, saying that this is just for the iPad experience, or potentially just the iPad Pro experience. iOS Files app support. I've been kind of semi-disappointed about this. Do you use this at all?
I do not. I saw it, in the new version, but I'm like, I don't really need that.
Yeah, I mean, when I go to save something to local files, mostly my local files that I use are for photos.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go into the local files iOS experience, it breaks it down into, I've got 4 apps that are capable of storing and managing local files.
Right.
Now, if I look them up pretty quickly, they were pretty straight. I think GarageBand was one of them, which is kind of weird.
GarageBand?
Yeah, GarageBand. Or Garage.
Garage. Yes.
Garage.
Garage? Is
Garage.
that like a carriage?
Garage. There's also support for iCloud, for Dropbox, and what they are saying now is that OneDrive is also a
Yes, the one that comes up for me by default. Like I fired up the files and it's having me log into my OneDrive.
Yeah. So that's more useful to me. But at the same time, I would grab a file from another app and I would say share it to, and then I don't even have to go through these local files. So
right,
whatever. Previewing of multiple files, 130 plus file types. So that now comes down as an experience to the OneDrive app.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
No, I read these and I went, nope, that's the one I actually care about. Mm-hmm. We've got the new third file types, but having the ability to look at those, in OneDrive on your phone or iPad or whatever, that makes me excited. That gets me excited.
Have you seen it in action yet?
I have not, but I'm really excited to see the Illustrator and the Photoshop, like how that works and see what it does. That I will be trying it though.
Yeah, so that means that it at least comes down to OneDrive, and you can view files from there. And
right.
Look, when we talk about OneDrive and the app, it does extend to looking at files that are based in SharePoint. Because remember, on our mobile devices, apps all kind of cooperate. We're in the SharePoint app, for example, we go to the files area and we go to open up, show me this library. It can actually bring us through to the OneDrive app and give us all these experiences.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of handing off going between.
Right, there is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
Nothing much more to talk about there. I guess we could say universal link support, so that's good. The link is the same between OneDrive for Business and SharePoint. Yay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anyway, much more to look at, I guess, there, but we'll keep ticking on through.
Okay.
Microsoft To Do. I've
Take
dipped
that
in
one.
and out of this. Kind of use it, kind of don't. Looked at it again recently.
But I think the key for this announcement for everybody to understand, and this is a major update. This is the major update that's up there, is that this is turned on now by default.
Let's see if it's appeared
For
in
everybody.
my tasks. To Do. There you go.
Yep.
To Do. Oh, it's under
So-
my face. Just a moment. Let's change to that right side
For your
scene.
special right side.
There we go. To Do.
So that, I mean, whether you use it or not, whether you think it's an important app or not, that's why you should pay attention to this announcement, because if you don't think it's useful, fine, but your users are about to get it. So,
Oh, what's that? Oh, okay. And then click, and then signing up, and then that echoes back to our discussion last week.
that's right,
From the
exactly.
tech community, where people are saying, "Oh, there is going to be a feature that will synchronize the flagged email into
That's
this
right.
to-do service that might just be based in the US." So few things there.
Yeah.
Good. Yep. It's a major update that we need to be aware of.
That's right.
Duplicating and duplicate and promote pages in SharePoint Online.
Yep.
You want that?
I think, well, being able to duplicate pages, which I love how they spell SharePoint with a lowercase p there in the first sentence. Let's all reflect on that for a moment. How in the world that happened? Okay. I like being able to duplicate pages rather than having to rebuild. I think it's a great idea. I mean, and so copying and then taking that, and it's great for like newsletters. I mean, seriously, you create a nice modern page and you got a newsletter and it's great, and then you're going to create another one for next month or next week or whenever you create these. It'd be great to take, I don't want to change everything. Maybe I want to keep the layout, right? Change the pictures and content, but I want to keep the layout and not have to rebuild it every time. This is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Perfect for it.
Now, was there a way of doing this beforehand, before we could do it from within SharePoint itself? Did we have to use SharePoint Designer and copy and paste an ASPX thing and rename it and upload it again? And was that how you did it?
Yeah, I mean, you could. There's ways of doing it. You could copy the page like that, but there was problems doing it that way sometimes, and so this is more of a clean way of doing it. And anything you can do without having to open up Designer is best anyway. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Given that, I think Designer's kind of on its way out too, isn't it? Is it?
Yep.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, it's going to be around for a
Yeah.
while because it's fully supported until 2026, I think.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the info path is on its way out, but it's
2026.
supported till.
that's right.
All right, that's okay. So next one is toolboxes for multi-column sections in SharePoint Online. So this is multi-column sections. Remember, our modern pages now have sections where we can say this top section is going to be the hero section, and that's just going to be one full width. Then my next one down is going to be a body and a right sidebar. And I think beforehand the toolboxes were not, you couldn't control them from the same column. It wasn't obvious which column you're working on.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, this is all about just making it a little more. They implemented the feature. It was great, but yeah, there was some confusion about where you were and what you're selecting. So as it says, it's to increase the clarity and kind of reduce spacing and stuff. So this is good. I think it will be useful for your page building.
Create news from a SharePoint Online homepage. This is the last announcement in my message center.
Yeah, and this one, I'll just be totally honest with you. When I first learned about this, I was like, "What? I don't understand why." So this is kind of decentralization that's happening. If you haven't been paying attention, the decentralization of content, of having to know where you need to go to create content. And so what the experience will be is when you come to the SharePoint homepage.
So I'm in the right place now, aren't I?
You are. When you click on there will be a link beside the Create site up there called Create News, and it will prompt you to create the news in a modern or a team site. A modern team site or a
communication site.
Communication site. Sorry,
right.
Communication site. So one of those, it'll give you selection on the ones you have access to, and you pick that, and then the news item will be created in that. So you don't need to navigate to that site to create a news item. You can just come here, create that news item, and go there. And it'll go to it. What I like about this is, again, the decentralization. The SharePoint homepage, I think, is going to become more than just. Right now, it's two things. It's the things you're following and your recent stuff. Really. Yep. So news and frequent stuff. I just think this is going to keep evolving as a place to come for more than just those things.
There's that featured links down the bottom, which is semi-useful. But yeah, you're right. And it's about bubbling up the activity that's happening on the sites. And I am really keen to see or learn of the uptake for news, because we had blogs, and blogs are like but now, like the concept of having a news page and allowing people to write that news in their team site, that's my long form way of getting my information across instead of this great long email.
Right. And I actually had to explain this to a customer this week. You don't have to think of the news as news. Right? It's announcements. It's, it's not, this is not something, what they were getting hung up on was, I, as an IT person, I'm not going to create news for the company, because they were thinking about news as in what they would publish on their external website. Right? But it's more about, kind of more of an announcements for your group. Would go in the news section for the IT group homepage. So that's, I think, the only thing where people are getting hung up a little bit is that I've seen. It's not just that customer. It's not news, it's announcements. It's that kind of stuff. It's just a rich experience for announcements for your site. So
I mean, what I've tried to do with some of my example pages, to me it's just the stories. And we have stories to tell, whether it be news or this happened or someone else had this interesting story to tell about a use case or whatever it is. It's not that this big thing is happening. Yes, I agree.
Right.
And it really is just about, look, I can add all these different kinds of things, and I can add comments or embed a Yammer web part or whatever. So all good.
Yep.
That I think that was that is it for my announcement. Did you have anything additional in your tenant that?
I did not have additional items. So we had the same ones this week. The
Cool.
So
right.
now's the time to talk about things that we heard about, maybe should have been announced.
Well, let's dismiss these ones. Kapow. We're done. My custom. And back to right. So things that were observed, perhaps should have been in the message center but weren't. I've got one actually that I would like to remind people of as I was going back over those old and dismissed messages. For those of you who are using Yammer, who are using Yammer Notes, they're going to be transformed to Word docs. We were told about that about a month ago. That is going to be happening between December 8th and December 11th. They'll be transformed to Word docs. So keep an eye out for that. Look back on the advice for that old message if you need to.
That's next weekend. This coming up weekend. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And the other one I had just really links back to your customer asking about activity within with Microsoft Teams. So maybe I will go back to sharing that screen and we'll have a look at those reports, because it is kind of, we're looking at activity for Teams, and the kind of activity we see are at user level. It is how active they have been in the communication of teams, channel messages, chat messages. So remember, channel is it's within a team. How active are they talking openly with their team? Chat messages, that's basically I am you, you I am me. We can pull in one or two people, but it is a pocket of chat. Our calls and our meetings, and that's pretty much all it's measuring at the user activity level. What else have we got? Device usage. And so what was your customer asking about? I mean, you said that they were interested in the uptake of activity.
Yeah, they want to know activity, but they user, yes, what are their top users, but mostly it's what teams are being used most. And then actually conversely, what teams are not being used at all. So are there groups like 365 groups that were created so they have a team and the team's not being used at all, so maybe they need to do a little bit of adoption conversation with that group, with those members, to say, hey, you have a team and this is what it could be used for. So that's what they were really looking for is the teams, not the users.
Yeah, and so we're not getting that kind of information yet. What we are seeing are, look, these people are active, great. These people aren't, but we don't know what they belong to, and we can't flip that around and say, what sort of teams are busy. And then, when you think of teams, you and I were talking about this before the show. There's also that file component of it, and that's been picked up by the usage reports in SharePoint, but you don't see that correlation of the teams that are active. How many are using their files?
Right.
I don't really see anything there that we can pick on that is specific to teams. But, it's the first usage reports that are available. They've come out. And like you said, minimum viable product, or easy goes, just slightly gently as we get the information available, then we'll start to make other reports available.
Yeah. Yep. And so I think, watch that space. Yeah. It'll continue to improve. There's some really smart people that are involved with teams and with getting information out. So I fully expect not only will that to be improved, but to be improved pretty quickly. As it needs to adapt. So.
I didn't actually go in and see what has been added from a adoption. What do they call that new Power BI dashboard?
Adoption, the adoption content pack. I'm actually looking at it right now.
If you've got it open, do you want to?
But I don't see any teams at all.
No, not yet. It usually follows from that report being available, and then it comes through to the Power BI as well. I'm not seeing anything here. I just find this funny. Like, you get to that landing page and then you sign in and you're like, yeah, okay, now I'll sign in. Didn't you share the credentials?
Nope, you didn't. So Exchange, OneDrive, SharePoint, and Skype. That's all I see here.
Adoption. We've got Skype. We've got Yammer. We've got Yammer. Due to inactivity, scheduled refresh has been disabled. So, because it's my demo tenant, it's not really showing a lot.
Right. Yep.
I magically dragged a tile away. But I'm not seeing a heck of a lot in terms of teams. So, maybe we're just, we're looking. Oh, let's say, ask a question. Microsoft Teams.
What?
Team,
the
SPO,
Q&A. Okay,
team site.
I wasn't looking at what you're saying, and I'm like, what are you
SPO
talking?
group, site type. Meh. There we go. This is definitely your area of expertise, but it doesn't find the words Microsoft
All right,
Teams.
Here we go. Yes. No, Teams is not on here. I've already looked.
Yep. Okay. Did you notice anything or hear anything in the community as we were going through the week?
Absolutely. I did. We have been using Microsoft Flow for quite some time to bring that automation experience to Office 365. And it's a great tool, but we've been very honest throughout the process about there's been some things that are lacking is when it comes to working with SharePoint. They've made some great progress in narrowing that gap of the features between what we could do with SharePoint Designer Workflow and what we can do with Microsoft Flow. And now what has been announced is we can read and write managed metadata in SharePoint lists. So this is not just a column, this is managed metadata that we're using in our SharePoint list. We haven't been able to do read and write with that content, but now we can. So this is good information. It's a good step forward especially for those, mostly for those organizations that are using managed metadata and wanting to, tag their content appropriately and then, get access to it. This is a great leap forward.
Yeah, it's when you start using metadata and you might create a column just ad hoc, you quickly realize that there's a smarter way to do this. So most organizations have made that transition to manage metadata and content types and all the site level columns and all those sorts of things. So this really starts to get flow on the right path for managing and changing that metadata and interacting with it. So good call.
Yep.
Well, that's us at the half-hour mark, and we've covered a lot, man. We did pretty well. If you haven't already picked up, this is a pre-recorded session. Sorry about that.
What?
I know.
Hey, you're not supposed to tell people that. Come on, man.
Okay. I'm down in Hamilton. I'm not interacting with your chats. We are not looking and answering your questions, but we may actually be in the chat room. I'm sorry. Look, I had to change. There's some work that I had come up, and I'm not going to be at home with all the goodies and the toys, and I'll be working off mobile.
Yeah, next time I'm just going to do this without you. I'm just tired of you having to rearrange schedule. We're just going to, if you don't show up next time, we're dropping you. I'm sorry, but I've talked to the producer. Wait a minute, isn't that you? Never mind. Never mind. Okay. Forget what.
But you got plans to get your rig going for next year eventually, and sharing that load. We are hearing some developments of other shows within the Regarding 365 team that are coming together. We've got Alistair who's going to be doing getting a group together in South Africa doing Insights 365. So keep looking out for that. They're just sorting out their studio. And Lorian's been talking to another Aussie looking to do something around Teams. Won't say any more because I think he wants to make that be a big bang, and he's got some very unique and interesting ways of running this. So that was Regarding 365 the week that was November 27th, and we'll see you again in the chat room, online, and subscribe, like, etc. Click that bell. We're still working on a way to get you an email out to drop into your
Just follow us on Twitter. We tweet stuff all the time about the show. So
yes. All right. So see you again next week. Bye for now.